Hi, welcome back to Wild Speculation. I'm Daniel.
I'm Scott.
This week we talk about Critical Role Campaign 2, Episode 109, Frigid Propositions. Largely a shopping episode,
Yeah.
punctuated by good roleplay and also, I would characterize some of it as rushed.
Yeah.
But first things first, and I came into this episode a little late.
Okay.
Eating dinner and whatnot.
Right.
Oh shit. So when I tuned in, I was in the middle of Yasha talking to Orly. I was like, wait, what? And then Friday morning, on my rewatch, okay, they rewound. So we get a rewind. But what actually happened? Clue type moment.
Yeah.
Where Yasha gets her tattoo.
Yep.
+1 dex.
Back of the ear to the fingertip.
I can understand why Matt did the bag o' gems thing, because it is often easier to do that.
Okay.
But as we saw in the rewind, it becomes super relevant to know what you actually have.
Yeah.
When you have tattoos that require gemstones.
Yep. And they use the vast majority of their residual reserves.
Yeah. To actually get enough to do the tattoo.
Yeah. So leaves them with 50 gold worth of residuum left.
But they bought a bunch of diamonds.
Yeah.
So, which we get back. Okay, now you guys are leaving Goose's tower. What are you doing? Caleb, I'm off to buy magical stuff.
Well, quick question. What would a tattoo of, if they just had the 20,000 or 22,000 worth of residuum, would that be its own benefit?
I don't know. Because there's not like a magic stat.
I mean, would it be something that would give you resistance to magic, so advantage on saving throws? Or since it can be used as any of them, would it allow you to change your plus like every level or long rest?
It would have to be an amount of residuum equal to the highest cost.
Right.
So it's 5,000.
5,000. Yeah, the con one, 5,000.
Yeah. That would be interesting.
I would probably limit it to the resistance ones, not the stat ones. So you could change your resistance each day.
Yeah.
So a lot easier than changing your stat and then all the bonuses that stat applies to. And
yeah. Or just make, 6 different character sheets.
True.
Yeah. But Caleb cleans out Nicodranus.
Yes.
700 gold, which is 14 levels worth of spells. So that he can get. So that could mean he's on the hunt for 2 new additional 7th level spells. or
A variety of different Dunamancy spells from the Wildbound book.
well, he's not shopping for Dunamancy in the Empire.
No. But they're leaving the Empire.
Yeah, but they do have a week, so in theory, he could go to Jorhas and get some spells from
Essek.
Essek. Possible. But they all separate and do their shopping. Veth goes to get mom gifts.
Yep. Matching outfits and toys.
Caduceus is the one question that I don't quite understand. I mean, I understand the diamonds, and I understand the saffron. But one of the things that he wanted was a Wild Mother holy symbol. A cheap one. He said, for something that's coming up. And I couldn't figure out what that might be.
Unless he got that spell from Xanathars that lets you create a holy temple at 7th level.
Ah, yes. But doesn't he already have a Wild Mother holy symbol?
True. Perhaps he read that it, thought that it consumed it. It doesn't.
Yeah, that might be. Because that was one spell that we talked about.
Yep.
Him getting. Okay, that makes sense.
That would be the only thing I could think of.
Because I was like, well, he already gave Ford one. Because I was like, in theory. Because that was one of the things that I was hoping in this episode that we didn't get, which was Ford swearing an oath.
Yeah. I really want to know what his oath he picked.
Well,
although we do see his column showing in the shopping portion.
I mean, yes, I want to see it so I can know what his oath is. But to me, the oath is the roleplay hinge for a paladin. Like, it should be a big deal.
It should be. It should be a huge deal. It's the bulk of their personality.
Yeah. And we didn't get that.
No.
So I'm hoping maybe next episode we get it.
Yeah. At this point, I don't know. Like, it might be the Ancients thing, but he's not really, other than a connection to the Wild Mother, he's not really into nature. You know what I mean? He's never really been a nature person.
He likes the ocean.
Okay.
He's into the watery side of nature.
Having been a sailor does not necessarily mean a connection to the ocean. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but his whole motif has been that. But yeah, I like I say, it's just I was hoping for an important touchstone.
Yeah.
For that, because otherwise this is the first case in the history of the show where a choice is nothing but a power game choice.
Yeah, and like you were saying, it's like the roleplay hint. I mean, it's the oath is as powerful as like the dreams from Ukatoa.
Yeah,
it's the same level. You know?
And I expected it to be a Wild Mother dream.
Yeah. Where she charges him.
Yeah.
With his task as her champion.
Yeah. Although it's an equally interesting possibility that Matt works with Taliesin to have Caduceus swear his oath.
Yeah,
because that has other world building implications.
Yeah.
And intertwines paladins with clergy the way that a lot of people do associate them.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But yeah, we do, like I said, see the Golem showing when, you know, both with going back and grabbing the ring, I've got to have this ring, and with the, well, we should do these. No, those are just for us. You know, those are our precious.
And we got a hint of for-profit medicine.
Yes.
From Jester. Which really, if she's going to be a healer, I think that's the way she should run it. Just hand her friends a bill at the end of a fight. I cast a 1st level healing spell and a 5th level healing spell. You owe me 80 gold. Oh, you don't want to pay? Well, you're not getting healing until you pay. And there are people who play clerics like that.
Yep.
Jester just gets her magical components.
Mm-hmm.
Just the diamonds. So, and Bo goes to Bob Snopper's.
Yep.
And gets some ball bearings and fireworks.
Yep.
A cartload. 50 gold.
Yeah.
Seem a little low to you?
Depends. I mean, if it's all sparklers and bottle rockets, no. But if it's like M80s, and then yes.
Because, like, in my mind, the way I equated that was $500.
Again, if it's sparklers and shit, no. The little snap pods.
Yeah.
You know.
I don't know. I don't know how Matt is going to adjudicate that when one of them comes out and says, I'm going to use a firework. What? I don't know. You told me to write assorted fireworks. So that's what I wrote on my sheet. Yeah. So I think we might get some clarification on that, perhaps.
Honestly, I think the clarification will come when he's put in that spot. Well, we'll need to clarify that, so
fair.
We'll allow it this time, but after this session, I'll let you know exactly what you have.
Fair. And Matt not realizing that ball bearings are sold in units of 1,000?
Yeah.
So, that was funny. But also sort of fitting for the shop that she wouldn't have a full 1,000.
Yeah.
And then Ford and Yasha, like you say, him getting into the ring.
Yeah.
And but they get the healing potions.
Mm-hmm.
Which I was kind of surprised that he's after him. Because they haven't had to use one in 15 episodes, probably.
They're also going to a reversal of a lot of this stuff. Potentially.
Yeah. And yes, Tofnir, she wanted to get rid of them, which also begged the question. Like, yeah, there was just a lot in that around that sale that was weird. But yeah, you might be right. It might have just been a question of they got brought in, she paid a pittance for them, and wanted to get them out of the shop because the Zalezo were snooping around. Because they were obviously close enough that they were following Beauregard all the way back to the hotel. So you might.
That's all right. She hid him behind the alcohol.
The thing is like, if Matt statted them as guards, Beauregard could take them out in a single turn.
Well, yes, that's probably why they didn't approach.
Well, that and they wouldn't be able to catch her.
True.
Like, even without her running, she's faster than they are. Almost twice as fast as they are.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So, the big thing with the ring, to go back to the ring.
Yes.
Matt eventually gives them a name. And I'm very proud of Liam, Sam, and Marisha, who put it together during the episode where they knew the name from. And Liam got it without even looking at notes.
Right.
So maybe the keen mind is
rubbing off.
Or maybe he just remembers it because that's where Ford held a sword to his throat. Yeah. In that guy's house. So, we may or may not see that come back.
Yeah.
Ooh, maybe that's the second chapter for Jester. That guy comes after the gentleman, and they have to rescue him.
Maybe.
I was also thinking that maybe he has a connection to the cults of Tiamat on the coast. But that's a stretch. But I was trying to think, who would he be in debt to on the Menagerie Coast?
Yeah.
That he had to hawk this ring. So, and that was the first thing that came to my mind.
The Cadigan would come to my mind. The guy who Twiggy stole the Happy Fun Ball from.
And I was just thinking about that maybe that's why he hawked it, to try to get money for a down payment for the ball.
I was trying to think of his name was Cadigan.
Yeah.
Because I made the joke about Radigan, the Great Mouse Detective.
But Jester goes home, and he sort of abandons that notion of surprising her mom. Or Matt at least didn't make her roll stealth check or anything.
Yeah.
But had a reunion.
Yes.
Some storytelling, and then she begins talking about Veth and her family. And then Sam's like, I don't think they're staying here. And he's like, yeah, I gave them money. And Matt's like, yeah, they have their own place.
Yep.
He's like, Veth, are you here? Hey, I'm here.
Yeah.
Where's my family?
You forgot to make the cooing noises for the metagame pitch and before saying that, so kind of had to be there.
Although it makes sense. I mean, timing-wise, it would be perfect timing. And Veth can't roll less than a 20... Do we say 24? 23?
23, I think.
Yeah, on her stealth, which is better than anyone except probably Caduceus' passive.
No, 25 now. because they're at 5 proficiency, doubled is 10. Her dex is 20, right?
Yeah.
Which is 15 plus 10 is 25.
Yeah.
So she can't get less than 25 at this point.
Yeah. So yeah, it's fair. They can just assume she is sneaking and hiding in the room.
Yes.
And Sam might start playing with that idea. Similar to how Taliesin would always try to insert Caduceus into conversations because he just assumed that I can hear it.
Yeah. We'll see. I know we have the teleport workaround that you mentioned last week, but I think it's obvious through the play of this week with her family and her staying behind that she's still struggling with that decision.
I don't think she's struggling with the decision. I think the decision has been made. I think she wants more than a day with her family when they come to town. She's not looking for a conjugal visit once a month, one day a month. She wants a little more than that. Yeah. Matt, I didn't outright predict it, but the subtext of my argument was that Luke and Yeza are going to support her going with them. And he didn't outright say it this time, but he hinted at they love the fact that she's doing this.
Yeah. Well, they didn't have the talk this time.
Right. I do have a question for you, though.
Okay.
And this is something that I could see Sam doing.
Okay.
Is he conspiring to make Veth pregnant?
If he is, Veth is not continuing to adventure.
Oh, she won't know. And the length of here's the thing, though. The length of the campaign is such that they could be done with this campaign before she's even aware that she's pregnant.
They could be, but that's assuming a lot. We've already established they're more than likely going, further because they started earlier,
Yeah.
The 115 episodes was starting at, level 8, 9. Not at level 2.
Yeah.
So if we go 115 episodes from when they started level 8, then, we've got a while.
Like 30 episodes.
So, and just depending on how long things go,
Yeah, but I don't know. It's just something that occurred to me. And I can see Sam doing it, and I can see him continuing to adventure because a woman's pregnant doesn't mean she's an invalid.
It's true.
So I don't know, but I have to mention it because it came to me.
Okay.
And that's the name of the show.
Yep. No, I think that, not that pregnant women are invalids, but I think, if you're out adventuring in D&D while you're pregnant, there's a high chance you're going to lose that baby.
I don't argue that.
Especially with combat.
I won't argue that, but I will counter your statement of that to point out that Sprinkle is still alive.
Okay, but Sprinkle is like a demigod himself. He's like on par with the Traveler.
I love the fan art of the undead warlock Sprinkle. And I love when they're talking. Ford is talking about, well, it's not like you can eat it or something. The ring, and Yash is like, well, you can eat anything.
Yeah, technically. Even other people, although that's frowned upon in most societies,
I think, okay. Also, another nail in the coffin of Sam is going to stop playing Not. Matt seemed surprised that Veth didn't go to the hotel to see the performance. If Sam and Matt were conspiring to take Not out of the story, that wouldn't have. Matt's surprise would not have happened. He would have known. And he would have set the scene so that they could have their goodbye. Because Tyrion wasn't out of the blue.
Sure.
So, yeah. But they, Caleb collects the items from Veth and Jester so that he can bring them home. Interesting that he took one item from each, because in theory he only would need one, unless he's hedging his bets that somebody dies.
Or just trying to make them both feel contributing.
That could also be. That's true. But Veth got to see someone else disappear through a teleportation. And he's gonna, oh. And then was immediately, hey.
Yeah.
But we get official confirmation now that my speculation of 10 episodes ago, somewhere around there, that Bo and the Mighty Nine were going to be power players.
Yeah.
And the politics of Rex and Trim basically confirmed this episode. The High Curator knowing who Bo was.
Yep.
And yeah, your I don't think master is the correct word, but she's
mentor.
Yeah, mentor. Speaks very highly of you. I like what you did in the with bringing peace. And then they meet with Vess. Vess gives them a similar spiel. But before we get to there, okay. In the scene where they admit and understand that they are power players, Bo basically fails a cognitive test. I was like, she's like, no, we're in Rexing Trim. I was like, camera, woman, TV, man.
Very stable.
But yeah, and they are of a level now where they can delegate their reading, which I thought was interesting. That was the choice that they went with, and that Caleb didn't press the matter, because I think Liam remembers he has a book in his possession that is all about a great debate happening in this city, or one like it. I don't remember the specific name of the city offhand. But the book that he took out of the Happy Fun Ball was basically the minutes to a political meeting during the war. But yeah, adventures with money, dangerous mix.
Yeah.
And Matt knows his players all too well, and dangled all these things in front of them, and they bought all.
It was basically a D&D joke shop.
Yes. And you sort of understand why the assembly leaves it alone.
Yep.
But it also kind of makes me wonder, is there a Riddler there? Or a Joker?
Yep.
But, yeah. Also, one of the things that was bothering me this episode, and I don't know why it was this episode specifically.
Okay.
That was maybe because it happened multiple times in multiple cities and different vendors. But the idea of a bulk discount didn't really exist until mass production. Except in the case of where spoilage is a potential. Right. But with boutique, finely crafted items of the magical variety that are rare, I don't see the artisan giving a bulk discount on those.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's just a little bit of the today's world creeping into D&D because the players have the mindset of today's world.
Yes, and I don't begrudge that, especially because I spent my day off today. Well, last night and into today, and today, designing magical items to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm down with it. I understand it, but it just if magic and alchemy are supposed to be rare things don't get bulk discounts generally.
True.
So it was just sort of a disconnect for me. But yeah. And then the rest of we have a trip down memory lane with Caleb, wherein the bulk of the role play is ship talk.
Yeah.
And oh boy.
So
we got them all, I think.
Yeah.
And Caleb avoided Jester. Even though I read the lead up into the beer hall as Jester being kind of excited to dance with Caleb.
Yes.
And he didn't.
And I think that's because the last time he danced with her, he called her Astrid.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's a long list of reasons why Caleb didn't dance with her.
Yeah.
And the top one is he can't allow himself to feel that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
And Bo and Jester talking about Yasha and Ford.
Mm-hmm.
Ford gave her the trinket he picked up.
Yeah.
What do you make of that? Do you think Beauregard in his chat lit a fire under him? Changed his mind about not wanting a relationship in D&D?
I think that's what he wants people to think.
Then we are on the same page.
I think that
Troll.
Ford realizes William is just a tease. Well, that's true, but in all the right ways. Me personally, and I'm going to fully admit, just like I keep pushing the Beth leaving, and I've said before, I'm wrong, but it's if I was playing the character, this is how, what I would do, what I would feel is right for the character. I do think I'm wrong. I do think Beth is going to stay. This is, I will fully admit this is tainted by my Ford is evil that I have never seen anything that has disproven or led me to lighten that theory.
Fair.
He realizes that she's not as interested, so he has to do something to keep her on that hook.
As a manipulation tool.
Yes. I don't want her, but I don't want her to not want me.
Okay, yeah, I buy that.
That's where I think it is.
I buy that. But one of the sort of the best pieces of advice in the ship talk was between Jester and Bo.
Yes.
And Bo saying, look, the ball's in her court. She's the one with the dead ex-wife.
Yeah.
Or dead wife. And Jester saying, you need to make yourself available so that she can make a move.
Yep.
And then my favorite line of this episode was between Caduceus and Yasha. When Caduceus is stoking the ship flames himself and trying to motivate Yasha to do something. But he says, patience curdles into apathy.
Yeah.
And boy, did that hit home.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, wow, that's powerful stuff. And then they go see Vess. They have a breakdown of, who Vess is, where she fits in. Caleb tests the waters with her loyalty to Ikathon. She informs them not to trust. Now I'm blanking on his name. The guy, the leader of the assembly.
Yeah. I can't remember either. Topinator, do you remember?
But we do get, from her point of view, how evil he is.
Yes. I would just like to point out that this woman is also the woman who apprenticed under Delia Briarwood.
Mm-hmm.
So if she's calling someone evil,
I'm glad you brought that up because I wanted to touch on that too.
Okay.
Because Matt mentions lewdness. Yes.
Lewdness. Thank you.
Matt mentions that several decades ago. So Delilah was sent up there by Vecna.
I don't think so.
Oh, you don't?
Here's my theory, since we're going to open this can of worms.
Okay.
So, the Archmage of Antiquities is obviously about history and relics and stuff. And for decades and decades, relics have been found up there. I think her going up there is what caused her to hit the pact with Vecna. There's a thing there called the Frigid Woe, which is a disease that you can contract by breathing in these blue spores, that the mages created this disease that had no regular world or magical cure. It was to fight the gods and their followers. And basically, it's only a DC 11 con check, but, I mean, those can be failed. And basically what happens is you breathe it in, you make the check. If you fail, 1d4 days later, you start showing symptoms. And that results game-wise in a negative 5 feet to your speed. Every 10 days, you have to make another check. No magic can get rid of it. You have to make another check. 5 days later, every 10 days, you have to make another check. And your speed keeps going down. If your speed hits 0, you die and become a frozen statue. I think that is how Silas died, and she made the pact with Vecna to bring him back as a vampire. He accompanied her on a trip up there. Because she says he died of an incurable disease, a disease there was no known cure for. Now there is, but it's a relic from back when they created it, and in some ruins you can find, usually in a golden bottle, this milky-like substance that if you drink it, it immediately ends the frigid woe. But that is the only cure. No magic spell, even wish, other than wishing for that antidote, manufactured antidote, can cure it. So that's my theory.
Interesting.
Now, my only question is, while it is immune to magical cures, would Ford and Bo's immunity to disease protect them from this?
If it's a disease, yes.
If
it's a curse, no.
It is a disease.
Then yes.
Okay.
But one of the things we did learn, which might put a snag in Veth's eagerness to leave, is teleporting up there is dangerous.
Yeah.
Veth related a story of her appearing 3 miles in the sky and falling.
No, I mean, teleporting anywhere is dangerous if you're not familiar with the territory.
Yes. And teleporting up that way is one of the times that they had an accident with Essek when he took them.
And it's because they rolled poorly after not really knowing the area.
Yeah. Well, we think that.
True.
I mean, Matt rolled dice, or dice were rolled.
Yes, players rolled the dice.
Yes.
And there was no familiarity, and the roll that they got coincided with the description of the spell.
Yes. So, or perhaps it was just south enough that that's not going to affect it. Or she maybe believed that this mishap happened because you can't teleport, even though she just rolled badly.
Yeah.
And she could just be one of those kind of mages. She seems to teleport everywhere all the time. So
it couldn't be me.
Yeah. So that could be an unreliable narrator.
Yeah.
In that case.
Which is what I took it as.
Okay. They get excited at the prospect of being on an icebreaker. I'm interested to see how Matt describes such a vessel.
Yeah.
Icebreakers have to be made of metal and have to have a very powerful engine.
So we're talking Hyperduke technology.
At the very least, yeah. I mean, they have flying ships, so I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying I'm interested to see how Matt describes. Because, I mean, it could be that he has, animated dwarf statues with picks that go out in front of the ship and pick the ice.
True.
Did you have anything else on the Vest meeting?
No.
Because the big button on the episode at the end
And that's
it seemed very much like the Umbrella Academy season 2
okay.
when Dad sends them the invite to my pursuers. Join me for a light supper. This time at this place.
Yeah.
Although in my head it was more akin to the dual notes in Hamilton.
Yes.
Where he might as well have signed it. I have the honor to be your obedient servant, T. Ick.
Yep.
Which, after writing that, I laughed because it's tick.
Yes. So here's the thing with that, though. Different people in the 9 know different amounts of Caleb's story. And it's all coming to a head. Like, Beth and Bo pretty much know everything.
Yeah.
Yasha and Ford know that he killed his parents. But not all the details.
No.
Pretty much everyone else just knows that he was the teacher and did the Dunamancy experiments, residual experiments. Especially Jester.
Yeah. Who was particularly pissed when he started reading that letter.
Yeah. So what's going to happen when she finds out? He wasn't. Okay, let's be honest. He wasn't mind controlled. And he was. Things were manipulated to make it appear one way, but he killed his parents of his own free will.
Yeah. And it broke him.
And the magic brainwashing was get him into that hospital, and but yeah.
I am looking forward to the interaction between Jester and Astrid.
That's another thing. Is this where Astrid makes her move on Trent? We talked about it when he met with her.
But she may be planning to take out Trent.
To do what,
he did to Delilah.
I mean, poison the guy, take his place. If something goes wrong, well, here, the guy that's been after him is here. I've got a fall guy.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see her doing that. Or manipulating the other members of the 9 into being lippy and starting something.
Mm-hmm.
And help Caleb get vengeance so she appears the good guy to the 9.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't kill her, let her go. And then she, turns around and pins it all on them.
Yep.
Yeah, I can see that. The question that I had, though, if Caleb is going to be having dinner with his mortal enemy tomorrow night, is he going to go get Beth? Or does he tell Jester, tell her you have good news, and that she gets an extra day?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because
and then that goes to what I was talking about last week. When does he put it off for his own goals and end up pissing her off about it?
Well, I don't think she would be mad that they, especially if they say, hey, good news, you have an extra day.
No, not this one instance. But it will be the start of he's pushing me aside for his own goals. It's just the first instance of him doing that.
Yeah. But I can also equally see it that of all of the Mighty 9, he wants her there the most.
Yes.
And so he will expend any resources required to go get her.
Mm-hmm.
And really, he doesn't have to expend that much because he can just use his teleportation circle.
Yeah.
And then cast teleportation circle again
to
the library, and then arcane recovery, and he's only done one slot.
And if he does it tonight before they go to bed, he's got all his slots for tomorrow during the thing.
Yeah.
So
it's true.
Without arcane recovery.
And they have yet to establish lodgings in Rex and Trevor.
Yep.
So, and maybe they don't actually establish lodgings because if I'm right, and his 2 stiffness level spells was teleport and Mordenkainen's magnificent mansion.
Well, and honestly, if you want to go about it the right way, they don't establish lodgings. They teleport circle back to Usus, all of them. Crash in Nicodranas the next day. Teleport circle back to the library. Arcane recovery, he's got all his slots.
Yeah. And it would certainly...
They have the day in Rex and Trump, and then the evening in the...
Yeah. And I could certainly see them doing that when, you know, the guy that they didn't want to interact with, the guy that Caleb, is hunting,
Mm-hmm.
not only knows that they're in the city, knows where they went.
Yeah. Obviously knows how to find them.
Yeah. And that may be because, and part of that might be because Caleb isn't wearing the necklace anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think he's made a calculation that I have been in danger and I have been running. I have confronted him. He knows I'm out here. He knows I'm alive.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bother with this anymore. Because if he is frightened enough to spy on me, that means I am a danger to him. And so I think he's doing...
All it really means is he's still a loose thread that needs to be clipped.
I don't think Trent thinks that way. Because he said in the letter, sometimes all it takes is time. And your patriotic duty filled me with pride. He is taking credit for Bren's actions.
Mm-hmm.
And he has stated as such to Bren.
Yeah.
And no matter what kind of shit talking you do to all my compatriots and the people in the court, doesn't matter. Because all you do is prove that my methods produce results that help the Empire.
True.
With every action that you take in service of the Empire, it is because I put you on that path. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So it puts him in a bind. Sort of. If he falls for that.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be Astrid is trying to provoke the 9 into killing Trent. It could be Trent is using Caleb to smoke out disloyalty between Aidwolf and her.
Here's a weird thought. What if the letter isn't from Trent? What if it's all part of a setup from Astrid? No?
Yeah, screw Trent.
Everybody hates Trent.
Yeah.
Even Trent hates Trent, I'm pretty sure.
No, I think it was Trent, and I think he is using it to test the loyalty of Astrid.
Okay.
Because she has the most power of his former favorites.
True.
Aedwulf is still basically his Vader, his lackey. She has a position of her own.
Yeah.
And so, of all of them, she is the biggest danger to him. And if he can use this dinner to test everyone's loyalties, to see where everyone lies, to lord over Caleb, and to possibly bring him back into the fold.
Yeah.
I think that's what he's... This is Trent's Emperor scene from Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
He is bringing Luke to the throne room to turn him. So, at least that's how I think it's going to go. But there's also the possibility they don't go. But I don't think that happens.
Or does this end? So does this end with Astrid and Trent both trying to pull Caleb's strings into killing the other?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I think too. Yeah, I think they go. Here's what I think happens. I think they get that, and at least for this portion, because she owes him.
Well, and
he saw through to me getting my form back. I'm going to see through to him getting his thing back.
Yeah.
They go to the dinner, and it ends in combat. For whatever reason.
The game designer in me says that that's certainly a possibility and probably something Matt has planned. But I don't think it will. Unless... Here's the caveat to that. It definitely ends in combat if Veth either is asked or takes the initiative to wander off and snoop around his home. And she has the skills to do it. She can turn invisible, super high stealth.
I mean,
yeah.
I'm going on the premise that you're giving the 9 too much credit.
I thought they were going to kill Vokodo the first time I met him. And we got 3 episodes deeper before they fought him.
Yeah.
I mean, they also turned a non-combat encounter that Matt had planned into a combat encounter and destroyed a potential ally against Vokodo. But I don't blame them for that. I don't know.
While they have grown over the course of the campaign, I still think their default is to how do I say this?
Kill creatures and break things?
Yes, they have the Link syndrome.
Well, it's D&D.
So.
But we're coming up on our hard out because of talks tonight.
Yep.
Matt and Laura, I think we're going to have questions about TravelerCon. A lot of them.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have a question about, is Sam planning to not play Veth anymore?
Yeah.
So we will be enjoying that after this. I hope you guys are going to join us, and we will see you guys next week.